This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Thanks, Scott.
This conference will now be recorded.
Anything in the council room after July 1st has to be recorded. So I think it's great. You know, if we got questions, want to look back, Scott can get us the video. So yeah. Do we have anybody on the go meeting with us yet?
Yes, I'm here. This is Megan.
That's my wife.
Hi, Megan.
Hello, how are you?
Good, Casey here. We've got most of the committee here. Our town manager's in the bathroom, and can you see? You probably can't see me though, but you can see probably. I'm gonna guess only 3 people now.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can see a few of you there. Yeah.
Don't wave to your wife.
Hi, honey.
Sees you all the time. So.
I see it right here. Yeah, right there.
Yep.
So, 5-month-old?
Yes.
Yes, 5 months and 2, almost 3.
Oh wow, busy.
The 5-month-old has been a challenge, but we think he's in the corner. I think he is our punishment for the first one being pretty easy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I think going from 1 to 2 was something we were not prepared for. So.
Boy or girl?
First one is a girl. The second one's a boy.
That's how ours is. And
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so different.
I know. Well, it's like only 5 months old, and I think I looked at Megan one night and I was like, testosterone is a real thing.
My little guy is 2.5, and my mom just keeps looking at me. She's like, "This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning."
Yeah.
I know he is all the way.
I think we have everything. Everybody. And Tiffany, she sent an email. She's gonna be running late.
Okay.
So, and John is doing some pylon work right now and can't, get yours or online. So, I guess we'll turn over to Clay.
Can we have Scott get you the video and we can send it to John?
Oh,
And then he
absolutely.
would be able to
Yeah.
at least see the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
If
Yep.
he wants to.
Yep. All right, Clay, it's all you. Oh, I'll sit over there too.
I think we're recording.
Okay.
All right, very good. All right, so I did have the chance to introduce myself. My name is Clay Miller. Megan is on the phone. Jeff, are you there by any chance?
I am here as well, yes, sir.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff Martinson is also joining. He is part of Miracles with Miracle Corporate, their premier project team. We engaged Jeff almost immediately after I spoke with you, Casey, with the introductory phone call. Just by the nature of this project, I think in the sense that here in Northeast Indiana, I think Sonia was just talking about it. Sounds like there's a huge appetite for an inclusive project here. We wanted to make sure that we had not only the resources of our independent agency, Miracle Playgrounds of Indiana, behind this, but we did engage Miracle's corporate side. Jeff and his team have assisted us with the design of the playground, ensuring that we've got all of our inclusive elements covered to Miracle standards as it pertains to the project, and also assisted us with the renderings that you have in front of you in your books, and that we'll kind of go ahead and show here today in the presentation. So I just wanted to introduce those two. I have been working with Megan on this since she founded the agency in 2021 on the part-time capacity. We have invested fully as a family into this business as of about 2 months ago. So I am now a full-time member of Miracle Playgrounds of Indiana. So while I've been involved for all of this time, still sliding down the learning curve a little bit. So it's very possible I'll go ahead and come to her for some of the questions you may have here. But our agency is a little bit unique. Megan worked for Miracle's corporate as their product manager. So she has kind of the visibility into a lot of the products. She actually helped design some of the products that we feature today. So she's very familiar with kind of inclusive concepts and things of that nature. What I'll say is that our mission, when we design anything, when we present anything, you can see on the right there, there are lots of different concepts that different stakeholders on any project tend to be interested and engaged in. Our philosophy is to try to find the best combination of these four elements. Play value, obviously, the experience of the children, the way that they have developmental opportunities, all of that always comes first. Inclusivity, accessibility, universal design, one of your big goals here, especially on this project. We want to maximize that, make sure every child, no matter what their background is, no matter what their abilities are, can come to the playground, have an engaging time, find a different variety of play opportunities to engage in, value for the financial investment, obviously, and then finally, we want it to look good, we want it to look impressive, we want it to be something that people show up to, something that your community can be proud of, and just even from an aesthetic perspective. So,
I know you said children. I might have failed you because this is going to be for all ages. So
Okay.
just keep that in mind. If I failed that, I'll take the responsibility for that, and because that's what we're trying to connect with all ages.
sure. And I think that you'll see that that's generally the experience that we're going to be providing here.
Okay.
So we have the entire 2 to 12 age range covered, and then obviously the opportunity for caretakers, older siblings, anybody to come to the park and have a good time. That's an element of any sort of inclusive project that we try to include. So go ahead and go forward. Casey, you did mention that you were interested in some of the other projects that we've done. I have 3 of them up here. In addition, I'll mention there's a new smaller playground we did over in Auburn at Don Lash Park. And then if anybody's in the Michigan City area, a little bit further away from here, we finished a pretty cool project over at Water Tower Park there. Greensburg, obviously a little bit further away, but in terms of probably the inclusive project we're the most proud of, it's called Building Bridges Inclusion Park at Rebecca Park in Greensburg. So if anybody's interested in looking at some of our past work, we can definitely talk a little bit about those projects. Okay, you can skip this one. Okay, so a little bit about Miracle. All of Miracle's manufacturing is done in the U.S., which in this kind of current environment is definitely a good thing. A lot of states, organizations, municipalities are starting to kind of have some Buy in America requirements, so please keep that in mind. This slide does show a few kind of unique features of our products, most of which you can actually see currently out at Hidden Diamonds, one of which is the Versalock fasteners, tamper resistant, Mirrotherm coating on the PVC on the deck, helps a little bit with heat transfer, makes it more comfortable, it's protective for the kids' fingers, the way that the holes are structured on the PVC. Gator grip on our climbers makes it easier, more safe for the grips. Compound resin, and then everything we're going to sell you is going to be at the highest safety standard, IPEMA certified. Next slide just has information about the warranty. This is in your packet if you want a little bit later. Before we get into a little bit about our approach to inclusive play, Jeff, Megan, anything you wanted to add about our agency or about Miracle in general?
I would just, keeping in mind that Miracle is the oldest U.S.-based commercial playground equipment manufacturer, so you've got, time-tested products there, and something that you can feel confident in. And obviously, you've got some of our equipment that's stood the test of time, but we 100% back our equipment, and our quality has been around for almost 100 years now.
Yeah, it is nice to be here and have just come from a Miracle playground when I visited Hidden Diamonds with Casey there. Jeff, were you going to say anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna, resound what Megan just said and kind of duplicate. We are one of the oldest, if not the oldest, in the U.S. And then along with what you were saying earlier about Megan's history, I've been with Miracle in one way, shape, or form for over 24 years now. So, along with the company and the equipment, we also build in people. So it's the knowledge, the experience, the team. We're not just some fly by night company, couple guys in a pickup truck. We're not that. we do this. We have passion for this, and we're very serious about what we do.
Thanks, Jeff. And that's actually a great segue to inclusive play. I don't want to, it sounds like you've had some other of our competitors come in here. These are concepts at this point you're probably all pretty familiar with. I won't spend too much time on this, but I do want to take a little bit to talk about what I think is kind of Miracle's unique approach to inclusive play. And I'll just start by saying that I came back from some continuing education training down at Miracle's manufacturing headquarters in Missouri, and I'd say the passion that I noticed that everybody working at corporate, from the sales managers to the designers to the customer service people, the passion that they have for inclusive play is really evident in what they do. They have some inclusive consultants, Tina Stanton, Mara Kaplan, who evaluate new designs, provide feedback and reference and references for how they think that material or how they think that equipment is going to be used and experienced by different kids of different abilities. So even from design concept, that input is baked into everything that we're designing now in terms of new product and equipment. It is coming from outside sources so that we do have a check to make sure that, just the people within Miracle aren't calling it exclusive, and it's kind of not, right? So you keep going. Another one. All right, so 5 different elements. Again, I'll go through these pretty quickly. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know while I'm going through. But when designing these, whether it's me, Megan, Jeff, anybody on Jeff's team, when we're designing playgrounds, these are the 5 different elements that we have front of mind for any inclusive project. Next one. First of all, multi-sensory play experiences, right? So you're probably all familiar with our general 5 senses. You'll find tactile, visual, olfactory, which is smell and taste, and then auditory. We're familiar with all of those. Obviously, we're not really baking taste and smell so much into our equipment. However, the rest of those are going to be elements that we want everybody who comes to the playground to be able to experience, to have the choice to experience in one shape or another. Vestibular, think of it a little bit more along the lines of balance and coordination, developing those. Proprioceptive would be a little bit more along the lines of understanding where and how your body is positioned in space. So when you look at designs we're going to present to you, ensuring that children of all different abilities can have development and play opportunities that align with each of those senses is top of mind when we do any sort of design. So that's element number 1 there. We can go on. There we go. Encourage all children to play. All children means all children. First of all, that starts with choice. So what we want to avoid in an inclusive project is that somebody with autism, somebody in a wheelchair, rolls up or walks up to the playground and has really only a panel that's sitting on the ground, or just really one thing that they can do and that they can engage in. Right? So what that comes down to is giving them a choice of different things that they can do. That's an element in all of our designs. And that doesn't have to do with children who may have a disability or anything like that. It could just be that maybe they're scared of heights, right? Any sort of those elements, we want to give them a choice. That's number 1. Grouping similar types of play. Swings together, spinners together, climbers together, providing different challenges associated with each of those different pieces that are grouped together. And then finally, as Casey, you just mentioned, or we talked about, play for children of all ages. Again, what we're going to design is from primarily for the ages 2 to 12, but when we talk about all ages, as you'll see, even in this example design, this is not one of your designs, but ways in which the parents or the guardians or the siblings can play with the kids and engage with them, making sure the equipment is accessible to older guardians, parents, if the kids have an issue up on a climber or something. All right, greater accessibility. In this particular case, I think that what we try to avoid in inclusion is what we see some people do is slap a ramp on something and call it inclusive. ADA accessibility is not the same as inclusive. I think probably you're all familiar with that by now. And these are some of the elements that, while associated with maybe ADA and accessibility a little bit more, are all elements that we still try to bake into the playground from an inclusive perspective. Wide routes to travel between all of the different structures and play equipment, flush transitions. Actually talked with Casey a little bit about this earlier. These are not in the renderings of the designs, but having something like an orientation path outside where the port in place is level, you can come into the playground from the parking lot, from that sidewalk, easy flush transition. When the port in place surfacing goes in, different materials have different fall heights associated with it. So some of it will feel really springy and squishy, and then maybe if it's around the music equipment, it won't so much. But we're not going to do like a big drop off. So you go from being really squishy to being, so that sort of flush transition, we talk about that a lot. And then you're familiar by now with unitary surfacing, turf, port in place, anything that's not going to be like the wood chips you currently have, maybe tough to get a wheelchair over, etc. All right, ensuring kids don't get overwhelmed. I just mentioned the orientation path, but Sonia, this is probably something you're familiar with, and obviously in what you do is that if there's any sort of meltdown, if somebody's having a hard time, if someone needs a break, one of the elements of an inclusive playground is that they have somewhere to go without leaving the playground, right? Because sometimes once you leave, coming back on can be a little bit hard. You'll see that in some of our designs with something we call our tranquility corner when we talk about cozy and quiet spaces. You'll see benches featured, site amenities, different things like that, where you might be able to go sit down. Shade, we didn't actually include any shades in your design. Part of that is just from being a little bit further up north here and the maintenance that's associated with that. The other part is when we looked at the overhead, you do have a lot of trees there. We did try to be when we did the designs, and Jeff and his team really helped and did a great job with this, to have to remove as few of the trees there as possible, partly to save you some trouble and money and time, and then also partly because shade is important in spaces like that. And I do believe that there are some sort of medicines that can increase sensitivity to sunlight and things like that, right? So shade is very important. It's also a case that you mentioned, even planting some more trees once the development stuff is done. So we're kind of looking towards the natural environment to provide that a little bit more with this design. And finally, creating welcoming environments. This is something I'm learning firsthand now with my kids, and watching the way that they grow up and the different ways that they play. When we first started taking Cassie, our oldest, to daycare, we put her in the young toddler's room, and then there would be a half dozen of them, each sitting like evenly spaced apart, playing with something. Solitary play. We want to make sure that kids who come to the playground at that stage in their development have opportunities for solitary play. Maybe then they start watching their older siblings. It's another stage of development. Onlooker play. Opportunities for them to watch maybe older kids, maybe some of their peers, and just kind of enjoy and learn from how the other kids are engaging with the equipment, maybe even using their imaginations, things like that. Parallel play, the next phase, where this one has been the one that's used the most when I've gone to pick them up. They're not playing together, but they're doing more or less the exact same thing next to each other. So obviously that sort of element, you can go on. Associative play, also I kind of just mentioned that as well. Children doing the same thing, associated with each other, however, maybe not necessarily yet playing together. And then obviously the final stage, cooperative play, where we have children playing make-believe, imagination, engaging with the equipment. So went through that really quickly, but those are the 5 elements that we do our best to bake into every single inclusive design that we do. And I think that you'll find that we did that with the 3 options here. Any questions from those of you here. Megan, Jeff, anything for you before we go to the designs?
I don't think so.
All right, awesome.
Not yet, no.
All right, cool. So let's go on to next page. We'll start talking a little bit about our designs. There are 3 designs that you'll find in your packet. I want to talk a little bit more broadly about them here to start. I did mention earlier that when looking at the site, and we didn't yet have full appreciation for how steep the hill is that goes up to the pavilion. You'll see when we get to design 3 that we might need to reconsider the way that one's configured a little bit. But either way, we tried to take the elevation into consideration. We tried to be as try to minimize the intrusion, as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to things like the trees. And then from a budget perspective, Casey, when I spoke with him on the phone for the introduction, asked us to have our design within $320,000. He also mentioned there was some optimism that you could exceed those goals. So in options 2 and 3, we said, okay, what if you beat that goal by 10%? Option 3, what if you beat that goal by 25%? Keep in mind that we don't consider these designs to be finished at this point. If there are elements, if you land at $320,000, but there are elements from option 3 that you would like us to include, we're open to doing that. We're open to redoing, reorganizing anything. If there's anything in these designs you want us to move around between the different concepts, or if there's anything, I brought some catalogs. If there's anything that you see that we didn't include at all that you would like included. So we consider this a partnership. We want to work with you on everything that we do here, and we just consider this a first pass to show you that what we think is possible and some great designs that we could give you at those different target budget ranges. One thing, I think 3 of you I gave, and then Casey, I gave you don't have one, a spec sheet finder. So if you want to look at some of the stuff in a little bit more detail, you can match up the items from each design with a page on the spec sheet, so you can look at some of the more inclusive or the equipment we wanted to feature in a little bit more detail. So that's all kind of in your printed materials there as well. So
I'll also add to that if you're looking for, videos or anything like that, we can easily send them to you from the website or anything. So if you want to see things in action that, obviously can't be printed out in the same way, just let us know and we can send you any videos that you're looking for.
awesome. Okay. All right, so Casey, you can go ahead and start going through the photos. If you stop here on this first one, we'll try to talk a little bit about, again, not spend too much time, but talk a little bit about some of the equipment we wanted to highlight. First off, this is a brand new product, the communication panel. Jeff, I think you put this in all 3 of the designs. I can't remember. It may just be here in option 1. But this has been something that people are very, very excited about. And we try to feature this particular panel typically early on in an entranceway or when somebody first visits the playground.
I was gonna
You're okay. It's okay. It's okay. So that and we can that should be towards the back of the spec sheet book. But that particular panel is intended to provide guidance or means of communication for anybody who may be struggling to communicate how they're feeling or what they're thinking on the playground. So I'll come look over one of your shoulders here.
Is this the one you're referring to?
Yes, that is the communication panel, right? So it's one of our most inclusive. It's become popular very, very quickly as a means of, and it doesn't have to just be kids between kids, parents, siblings, anything else provides a means of I guess translation for lack of a better way of putting it. So definitely a very popular panel that is kind of a new feature for Miracle.
And it's everything on that panel. It's not like we say we want 12 of these designs and 5 of something else. This is it right here.
That's it. Okay, that's right. So that's number 1. If you, it's a little bit harder to see, and I think it's maybe a little bit earlier in the book. I also wanted to highlight the avalanche slide. It was a little easier to see in that first one before Casey got trigger happy with his finger there.
I was trying to zoom in on that panel.
That slide, you can see it's very, very wide, and it has a transfer point at the bottom of the slide where somebody with a wheelchair can pull themselves up to the top of the slide and then come on back down. I think it's at a 5-foot deck in that particular design. So when you sometimes see children with a physical disability have some trouble to get to some of the higher play opportunities, such as a 5-foot slide, this is kind of a great way for them to be able to experience.
Is that the purple one on like 3 or 4 pages?
Yes.
Yeah, there's when you flip through, there's a great big picture of it.
Yeah. So I wanted to highlight the avalanche slide for sure.
One of the slides you had back when you were going through things,
Mhm.
looked like there was a slide that was divided. What's the difference?
Oh, like in one of the earlier, I don't have pictures of all the inclusive stuff in that one. I'll give you a digital
Like
copy.
this one?
Yeah, that's the side-by-side slide. That's not going to have a way or a means. It's not going to have a transfer point for someone with a wheelchair to get off,
Okay.
and it's not going to really have the mechanism on that right-hand slide where the transfer point is that somebody can pull and maneuver themselves up.
I see your picture of the avalanche slide. It looks interesting, but I don't see, and maybe it's just not illustrated, how a wheelchair bound person could access that on the right.
On the right side of that picture,
Yeah,
it kind of goes down.
You look at the lower picture, you can tell it a little better.
Yeah, it has like a seat almost.
Right here.
So they're
Okay.
gonna pull up to that
I
and
follow.
you'll.
So they would get on there.
Yeah, that's a transfer point for a wheelchair.
And then
you
they-
see how there's a grip right
Oh,
there?
and
So
this boy is climbing up. Okay,
Exactly.
we're like that. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
I was
I was wondering the same
picturing
thing.
the wheelchair on the outside.
No, like a pull-up bar.
Yeah. Okay, wow.
I apologize, I did not explain. That's super
No,
well.
I just, I'm the most novice here, I would say, in the whole, on the whole topic, so that's why it really, I need to be treated like a 5th grader.
I will
It's
also
because of the
highlight.
sunglasses.
Yes. Julissa, I had my eyes dilated.
Ah,
That's not cool.
I wondered.
I might wear these now all the time. Right?
Melissa, I have sensitive eyes. No, I'll put my.
So a couple things that are a little easier to see in this one. You can only see the back of it here, but we have our inclusive swing seat. Has a harness in the front of it for somebody with a disability can get in and use the harness. This one's also really cool. This is called the accelerator swing. Looks a little bit like a tire. It's also easy for somebody with a physical disability to transfer into. The benefit of that accelerator swing, they can lay down and they can use it with somebody else. Right? So different swinging experience that perhaps someone with a physical disability may not easily be able to get.
Is this the one you're talking about?
It is, yes, the inclusive swing seat. Okay, you can move on to the next one, Casey.
All right. Oh,
I missed it again.
how do I go back? It says next slide.
Backspace.
Huh?
Try either the back arrow or backspace usually.
There you go.
Like that.
All right.
Thanks.
Everyday pro.
I mentioned earlier, we talked a little bit about having seating in different ways, kind of the cool down areas or the tranquility areas. This is our tranquility corner here in the back. You can see that there are some very cool sensory panels included in there, but it's a very good place the way that it's designed with the corners where children can go to kind of get away but remain on the playground and still have some kind of fun panel play equipment, sensory development opportunity that they can engage with. Also, we have here the inclusive whirl. You see the wheelchair on there right there in the renderings, but one of the very cool things about this whirl is what we see a lot of times is that there's a place here where children can stand here on the side, but we see a lot of times that with the railings on the outside, for example, it's a good opportunity for kids on the outside of the world to spin each other around and find different ways to engage and play. So that inclusive roll is a great piece of equipment. And then finally, you see coming off this 1 foot deck here, the platform leads. This is called the UltraGlide Flex. This is also something that a real wheelchair can roll onto. It may be a little bit easier to see once we get to the top view, but once you get to the top view, in the bottom left corner, when you look at that top view, there's a place for a wheelchair to sit, and then there are benches where children can sit. Think of the way that it's a little bit of a swaying experience. So if you at the amusement park, if you can imagine like the Viking ship ride or something like that, they can kind of move it together by moving their bodies in the back and forth motion. This is another one where kids who are outside of, who are not seated on it, can push and kind of help everybody move around. So that's a really, really cool.
Which one is that? The circular one they're looking
Yeah,
at?
I'll show you.
Sorry.
Page 2.
So this is the UltraGlide. This is the inclusive roll. This is the spinner. This is the sway.
Oh, okay.
I'll also add one of the great things about both of those products is that the child does not have to transfer out of their chair. So sometimes that can be an issue. Obviously there are a lot of products that are great if you can transfer out, but these two in particular are designed so that a kid does not have to actually leave their chair.
Do those seats fold up, or can you only get one chair in there?
So there's an option. There are two different types of the UltraGlide that we can use either one in that space, that would have a half bench on one or both sides. So that way there would be room for a wheelchair to just roll in on that side where the bench does not extend all the way over. So if you did 2 half benches, you could have 2 wheelchairs, one on each end. You can also have a wheelchair in the middle, so the whole platform moves. So even having a wheelchair that's got its wheels locked in the middle would still enjoy that product as well. Or you can do it where it's just 1 half bench and then 1 full bench, depending on how many wheelchairs you wanted to plan to accommodate.
Finally, what I'll mention here is the down from the overhead in the bottom, you can see the xylophone, the bongo drums, and the chimes. This was actually, Megan, this was a product you did, right? Or a product line you did?
Yes.
Concerto, different types of music play. So xylophone, bongo drums. We get the question a lot for the xylophone. Now it's are attached and connected, and there are little holsters for them with that xylophone. So,
So this picture, the wheelchair can access all of this, and then there are stairs to which section?
the stairs. Okay, so yeah. So can you go to the overhead there, Casey? I think it's two slides forward.
Next slide shows that slide.
Yeah. So each deck is going to take the incline. Each ramp is going to take the deck incline up by a foot. So we start here at the bottom. So somebody in a wheelchair is going to be able to go all the way here, and this is where the stairs start to come up to this avalanche slide. So to access the avalanche slide, somebody in a wheelchair would either need to go up the stairs or they could use the side of the slide. But I think that's the only place in this design where there are stairs featured. There's also a transfer point for a wheelchair for the 3-foot deck right here, featured right here. So outside of these climbers here, pretty much everything is going to be very, very friendly on this design for a wheelchair.
Did that answer that?
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was anywhere else that was not wheelchair.
What does the access to that avalanche slide look like from that deck then? Is there a bar? So a mischievous 5-year-old boy in a wheelchair wouldn't be able to fit through?
Good question. I can't visualize that, but I can. Well, I can visualize it.
He would.
So yeah, all the slides will have the proper handrails and enclosures so that slides can't just roll off or chairs can't just roll off of them or anything like that. And the avalanche slide is on a 5-foot deck. Max wheelchair height is accessible up to a 3-foot deck level. 5 foot with transfer.
What is the ramp where you can see the kids running. What is that made out of? Is it slippery when it's wet?
The PVC?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the PVC, the Maratherm we talked about earlier. So that's,
I think we currently have that down
Yeah.
there at our park.
it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same as the deck material.
Okay.
Okay.
One
Other
more
than
thing
that- Okay.
Clay, one more thing I wanted to mention. I don't think we touched on it was the museum pieces. I don't know that you spoke about those. I know you spoke about the Tranquility Corner, but you can see on the bottom of this top view, there is the dynamics lab, and then there's also a washer panel that's kind of jutting off of this structure itself. So those pieces are designed with a lot of sensory play built into them. So, variety of, tactile, auditory, using pressure points, cooperative play, a lot of detail goes into those as well. So, great additional inclusive elements included.
Is this portion right here like a monkey bar?
Yeah, that's right. It'd be just a climber to get to that deck. Any questions there about option 1?
Right here.
So if anybody wasn't following Megan earlier, we have, this was the dynamics lab. This is one of our Miracle Museum pieces, and then so is this washer panel that's coming off the side of the structure right there. All right, option 2. So this is, again, keep in mind, this is, okay, what could the space look like if we beat our fundraising goal by about 10%? You can see that we have the AltaGlide Flex still featured here, and we have the Tranquility Corner featured. The Concerto pieces we talked about, the inclusive swing seat, and more sensory panels. So we'll just kind of, we'll cover the ones that we didn't talk about in the last design.
Is it everything in the last design plus more, or is it a whole different kind of configuration?
It's a different configuration.
Okay.
So again, just trying to showcase some of the same equipment, but also some different options that we have. One thing I do want to mention here about option 2, when I spoke to Casey, I think one of the things that stood out to me that he felt pretty strongly that he didn't want to have a playground design that was like massive structure centric. Wanted it to be a little bit more kind of spread and to able to engage in all sorts of different places. So when you see the way that we structured it with the ramps in that first design, that's one thing we did. One of the really cool things about this second design is that I think this was kind of an attempt to show you what we tried to do if we could have the best of both worlds, right? So we have that similar concept with the ramps taking you around the play area. However, we have this stacked deck option here in the middle, which is, I think, a 2-foot deck. Jeff, do you remember how tall the second deck is?
It'll be a 2-foot and an 8-foot deck.
Yeah. So there are going to be 6 feet between those, and there's going to be a ladder climber that you can come up through a hole in the middle to get to that second deck. So you can kind of see some of those longer slides coming up. So for the concept that Casey, you articulated over the phone, and then if there's a desire to get some taller slides or anything like that in there, that stack deck option is a great way to kind of get the best of both worlds and have an impressive tall structure with some big slides and
And just to allude to that, I think my intent was, and I think you've done a good job. I'm pretty sure we all didn't want one structure, right? I mean, like, give the kids and adults a variety of things, not just one piece.
Exactly. All right, so you can go ahead and we'll talk about some of those other pieces now. Go ahead forward. Yep, so you can see that was what I was referring to earlier with that stack deck there in the back. So the next slide is going to feature 2 of the newer the pieces that weren't in the last one that I want to talk to you a little bit about. The first is the cyclocone climber right here. It's a spinner and a climber. As you can see, also wheelchair accessible. We can get in. There's a kind of a wider gap in the ropes down there where you can get in and kind of lay down and enjoy a spinning experience while other kids climb it. So it's a good collaborative play opportunity as well. I think we have a few versions of the cyclocone, and all 4 of the versions will be in your spec sheet document if there was one or the other that you think you would prefer. Next along, this is aligned with the Miracle Museum line with the Tranquility Corner and Dynamics Lab we talked about previously. This panel right here is our Miracle Machines line, which we're really, really proud of and which really nobody else has. They're produced in partnership with the Rube Goldberg family and that foundation that have kind of kept his legacy alive. This one is called Curiosity Thrilled the Cat. If you're not familiar with Rube Goldberg, it's like finding some super ridiculous, complex way to perform a simple task. Videos online of somebody like trying to get a marble from point A to point B, but they take it throughout their whole house, toilet paper tubes, things like that. So that's the concept. In this particular case, we're trying to feed the cat here at the bottom left-hand corner, and there are all sorts of different ways to engage with that panel to get the food from A to B in some kind of different way or a different fun way to engage with that. So it's a really, really unique play panel. It's a way that there are lots of different possibilities, and honestly, to have anything that's kind of associated with STEM on the playground in this day and age and sort of working in that capacity is definitely a huge win. So I just wanted to highlight that. Design option 3, we'll have another version of that panel that I'll show you. And then there's a third version of that panel called Goal, which is not featured in any of these designs, but obviously we'd be happy to put it in there. That perhaps more appropriate for something like Hidden Diamonds with all the baseball fields, right, to have something sports themed. So
Is it like a pinball machine that they're just watching it, or are they physically?
No, they're
moving it?
physically manipulating
yeah.
different pieces, different levers and different things
Okay.
on the machine, and there are
That's
different ways
interesting.
that the food can kind of go from A to B and get to the cat there at the bottom based on how they engage with it.
I have a question on, what's it called, the cone,
Sure.
cyclocone climber. Are those metallic bars all around, or is that rope?
It's rope.
It's rope.
Yes.
Okay. And then would those spin as fast as that? What's the other one that sits flush with the ground?
The inclusive whirl.
Yeah.
There's the inclusive whirl. There's the cyclocone, and then actually in this design, I promise I'll answer that question in a second, but I'll show you a third one. Can you go to the next one? We also have our 10 spin in the back as another piece of spinning equipment. So I'm going to punt to either Jeff or Megan. How fast is the inclusive whirl capable of spinning compared with the 10 spin and cyclocone?
So all of them have a friction governor in them. So as the kids attempt to spin it faster, they're met with more and more friction. So it can't free spin like the merry-go-rounds of the yesteryears.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. I was concerned.
The ones we are used to that, we could get up to Mach 13 and the next county, that we don't have those anymore. So it's a gentle spin.
Okay, and then on this cyclocone climber, is that flush with the ground, or is that like a 6-inch gap underneath on some of those, or?
It is not flush with the ground. I do not know how far that post is.
It sits, I think, about 14 inches. I think the platform's about 14 inches, 15 inches above ground. That's part of the accessibility portion of it. So the kids are actually able to transfer out of their mobility device into the inner workings or inner platform of the climber itself.
And all of those climbers spin, is that correct?
The cyclocone in this case does, yes. And well, the 3 that we just talked, the inclusive whirl from the first design, this 10 spin here in the back, and the cyclocone that you're asking about, those also.
Yep.
So all the cyclocone climbers do.
Oh, the other versions of it, yes.
Okay.
Jeff, is that true? The other 3 versions are also spinning as well?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is that pole like two pieces so that, assuming the whole thing turns, so the ropes aren't?
Yeah, the pole is two pieces. There's a base that goes in the ground that has the bearing on it, and the whole bearing assembly, if you would.
Did you guys do a parking lot stuff yet?
We did this.
This looks really familiar.
Yeah, so Megan and I started this agency in 2021, so possibly, but it may have predated us. Mhm. Fun fact: the 10 spin is the is this version. So the whirl was the original piece of Miracle Playground equipment. So they were the first. That was our first back in 100 years ago. Very first thing we did. The product has stayed alive in different versions all these years, and the 10 spin is basically, you think about those old timey playground merry-go-round sort of looking things. That's the 2020s version of that. So.
Big hit.
And then this actually, this rendering here is just a little bit of a better view of the inclusive swing suite and the accelerator suite. So, I think that pretty much covers it for option 2. Any questions about that one?
Do different playgrounds typically have only one spinning platform device rather than two different types? You know, one on this end, one on this end. In other words, especially ours with the size we've got, we're just looking at any option we might go with.
No, that's a good question.
Just one spinning platform device. I forget all the names, but the ones you just described.
Are you asking whether just like in our opinion it's good to have multiple ones?
Yes.
Yeah. That is entirely up to you. I mean, really. So we want, again, when we talked about all of the different elements of an inclusive playground earlier, and those different types of the sensory experiences and development it can engage, it's important to have something that spins, right? So whether that's 2 spinners or in this case we did 2. Part of that is because it features the rope climber, so it's a little bit of a different spinning experience, right? But that is an entire. So if you feel like you want to keep that whirl that's already there for a little bit while until you tackle phase 2, or you replace that playground, you guys say, hey, we only want to add 1 spinner, or we don't want to add any spinners right now. We want to keep that whirl and then maybe update it whenever we do phase 2, right? We are totally open to that. So
you've got the 2 spinners in just option 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any more questions about option 2?
The spinner that's flush with the ground is the only one that wheelchair and non-wheelchair can.
No. So
No.
if you look at how the 10 spin, so you can see here in this slide too, you can transfer onto the 10 spin.
Right, but for the whole chair, if they can't
The whole
transfer
chair,
out,
yes, that's
it would
right.
only be that one.
Yes.
I think that's gonna be the piece to keep in mind, because I think there's probably more that can't transfer than we.
And there's more options, I think, in that book for different equipment too, so. Real quick, what's your most popular piece of equipment that's not here that, it's a big hit or,
Jeff, that would be a good question for you since you see so many projects across the country. The question is, within the 3 design options,
even outside this design.
that's what I mean. Within the
I'm
3
sorry.
design options, what didn't you include that you would say would be the most popular thing that you see other people across the country really liking?
Let me see what's on option 3. The saddle seat. So that is yet another spinner. A very inexpensive spinner, but it is a single user spinner. They're widely popular. One, because they're under $1,000. They take up small footprint and they spin, and kids love them. Swings are always popular. We have those in here. The inclusive whirl, which we do have in both option 1 and option 3, that is widely popular. The mini city elements, which you'll be introduced to that in option 3. that is becoming more and more popular to include that in the playgrounds because it does help add an element for the younger, the little kids that are there. Just kind of those are some of the bigger ticket items, I would say, not necessarily being big, but some of the main ones we do see included in playgrounds. In the South, a lot of playground shade. Obviously, the North, that's not as much of a criteria. It's a lot of maintenance for y'all to have to do that every time snow comes in. Doesn't quite hold up as well. Places like Texas, Mississippi, Florida, snow isn't as much of a issue. Some of the new play panels, those are really becoming popular, always innovating with those. Like the tic-tac-toes and stuff, they've been around for years. Every vendor has one. We all put them in because everybody uses them. I mean, it's just one of those things that a playground has had since playgrounds started becoming playgrounds. So those are kind of the main high points, I would say. But then slides as well. Everybody loves slides.
So, one thing I would add too are the museum pieces. I know we included one of them, but those, I would say, especially back when I was doing a lot of the tracking data as a product manager, those were really popular because they can fit very easily into spaces. They don't require their own use zones, so they were very easy to add into designs where another product may not fit. So I would also include those as an easy way to add sensory play, and they just kind of were easy to fit into most configurations.
What's a museum piece?
We call it's essentially, so it's basically, think of it as an elaborate panel in most cases. Now, Miracle Museum line includes some other stuff, but they're essentially they're rather than just being a standalone square panel, they're designed to provide different variety of sensory experiences. Multiple kids can usually use them at the same time, and some of them even tend to have some STEM elements associated with them. So just they also standalone, don't require like a fall or a use zone or anything like that. So they just tend to be a essentially a much more contemporary or version of like the traditional, as Jeff mentioned, the tic-tac-toe play panel that we all kind of grew up being used to.
And you could put those maybe where you have too much open space or something?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, so if you back in option 1 down in kind of the bottom of the design, that's where we put the Dynamics Lab, which is one of the Miracle Museum pieces. As I mentioned earlier, our Miracle Machines line is pretty much aligned with those. So that was the Rube Goldberg stuff. Those Rube Goldberg pieces are featured in option 2 and option 3 as you know, inclusive play elements that somebody can just use at the ground level.
I'll also point out, I think in your spec sheet that there is one that goes through a lot of the details on the museum pieces. So I believe, Clay, you included the other ones in there as well.
I did not. No, I just did Dynamics Lab.
Dynamics Lab. Okay, we can easily send those to you online, and there are videos that help show the different aspects of them. But they were just designed to be very focused in on sensory play. We worked with inclusive and child development experts to put those together. That was one of the product lines that I worked specifically on when I was a product manager. So I've got a lot of background on those, but those are they're designed to be a great way to make it easy to add more inclusive play to a design without, breaking the bank or breaking the footprint.
So
just put a link there.
Megan, what you're thinking of, I brought several Miracle Museum catalogs, so I just
perfect.
Yeah. All right. I know we had someone who needs to leave it too, so I'd at least like to get through the new pieces that you haven't seen before here in option 3 before 2 o'clock. To your question about other popular things we have, there are a couple of cool ones in here. And I can talk a little bit more about some other possibilities with that. So you can go ahead and go to option 3 there, Casey, and maybe a few slides forward. Yeah, keep going. Oh, all right, that's good. Perfect, right here. All right, so these should all look familiar. So go ahead to the next slide. Okay. Actually, can you backspace a couple times? I forgot to mention something. Just really quick. when we did this, the swings, we did not realize, we knew there was some incline there based on the overhead. It is a big incline. The swings would not go there with this particular option. When Casey and I chatted earlier, we probably look to move those out somewhere in this direction here, towards more by the parking lot or more towards the back of the basement.
Yeah, we've got options.
So we have some options there. So don't look at that and think we're stupid. It's a big hill.
It's actually pretty impressive for not being on site.
Yeah.
For the most part, these designs.
I will tip my hat to Jeff and his team on that one. They have helped out a lot of people just from doing overheads over the years. So they're very much experts in evaluating a site from the overhead. So, okay, go ahead to the next one after this too.
One more.
Another one.
Okay.
Another one. All right. This is the mini city. Jeff just spoke a little bit about the mini city. In your spec books, there should be some details about mini city, along with a greater assortment of pieces. As he said, these are becoming very, very popular. This one features, we packed in a lot for this playground. There are some different options and elements. They're great for maybe the 2 to 5 age range and potentially even children younger than that. This one features a crawl tube, and then within the playhouse, there are tons of different elements that kids can engage with. Within the mini city, there are different configurations of these houses. There's a silly tree. They have bushes. If you're looking to have some kind of natural looking element, bushes with musical plate panels that you can insert into them. Tons of different possibilities with the mini city. Definitely encourage you to look into that. But this provides a great example of one of the key or one of the primary playhouse options. Before we go to the next one, this is the other miracle machine I talked about earlier. This is my cup of tea. As you can imagine, filling a cup of tea. Similar to feeding the cat, just a bunch of different ways to go in to get that accomplished when you engage with that panel. And then, as I mentioned, there's a third. It's in the spec book as well. The third panel is, I think it's soccer, Megan? Soccer goal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. So next up, I wanted to talk about, this is the Hex Quest. This is a brand new piece of equipment. When we talk about popular, when we've showed this to people, it's been really popular. Also, was one of the most successful play tests that Miracle has done in a long time when designing a new line of products. There are tons of different configurations for these hexagon climbers. Some of them can be freestanding, other ones attached to decks on the play structure. Obviously, this one attaches to a 5-foot deck. You look at the climbing footers here with kind of the more narrow holes. You can crawl through the wider holes. Kids were pretending these were animals. They were navigating new ways to go around, over, between, on top. They were, especially with some of the freestanding configurations, very, very, very much engaged with finding new ways to kind of traverse the climbers. So we're seeing it just in terms of play variety in one piece. We're seeing a lot of positive feedback on that one. So that's one thing I wanted to add, Casey, to your question right there in terms of, just when you think about value, right? How many different play elements you can get in one piece, that's awesome. And then if we can find a rendering of the swings, I'd like to show you. It's a little, go back one. It's a little bit hard to see here, but this is called the generation swing seat, right there. That is a swing seat that enables adults to swing with their child. There's kind of it's in your spec book as well, but there is a seat for a tot seat and then a seat for the parent, and you'll be facing each other on the swing when you swing with your child or your or whoever it is that you're there with, a younger sibling, whatever. So it's a great way for two people to swing together. Incorporates a way that even adults can get engaged on the playground. So as Jeff mentioned earlier, swings are super popular. We see a lot of people who really like the concept of that generation swing seat as well.
Are there other options for the generation swing seat than like the toddler, or is there like 2 benches?
That's a good question. Is there a 2-bench option for the Gen Swing, Megan?
Not right now. Right now it's just the toddler and the bench swing option, but that's something that we can bring to their attention too.
Okay. If you can forward along super quick, I promise. You can kind of rapid fire through this, and then in here I featured. Here's the full assortment of Miracle Museum pieces, and then I gave you guys the catalog. You can see those there. The next set of slides, basically, and I did not give you a digital copy. I will give you this digital copy. Has a handful of inclusive equipments that in some cases we didn't include here, so you can kind of see these in slide version as well. Go ahead. Play panels. We have, if you do want to explore the option of the shade, let us know. Like I said, didn't include it. You can save some money if you don't. You prefer to go with the trees, but we do have plenty of shade options that we can top your structures with. All these different versions. We have so many different versions of play panels. Definitely anything that you're interested in, we can do. Shade, go on. Talked about mini city. You can see there's the bush. Well, that's part of the crawl too, but you see we have different bush. There's a car with a steering wheel, a traffic light, any different number of elements of mini city. There should be some more pictures on the next one. Yep. So here's the bush I was talking about that have the play panel inserts. This is a silly tree with a little bit of climbing, some balance, crawling. There's a house version with a slide. There's the car and traffic light. So different options there for maybe some of the younger kids. Go on. The roller slide. We talked about a tactile play experience, different way to come down the slide with that feeling.
What do you mean rollers? The rollers?
Yeah, little rollers on the slide as you go down it.
On the surface, huh?
Yep.
So does it vibrate? What's it? It rolls.
Yeah, the each of these,
Like tiny little.
as they go down it, they're going to roll as you go over it.
And they're not gonna, they won't stick to that like you might on a plastic slide sometimes, right? The heat or whatever, you know, your skin,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The question: are our plastic slides sticky?
I mean, everyone's plastic slides are going to be the same in that aspect of where sometimes, yeah, if you're sweating or something, you might stick to them a little bit as opposed to, the roller slide wouldn't necessarily have that issue.
Go on.
What is that one to the left of that? Sorry.
No, I'll go back.
The red looking thing.
That is a nature-based climber. That's a good question. So that would be the what's called big timber line. So there are different configurations of it, and they can come in all different ways. But they can come as a transfer point for a wheelchair, and then on one side of the transfer point you can have like a set of logs, and then on the other side it might be like a set of rocks that can be climbed up as well. So it's
Could be
pretty cool nature-looking piece.
phase two too.
Go on. I think there are just a few more to pull along. Obviously, this is wheelchair accessible again, so somebody can transfer onto this and pull themselves through.
That's interesting. Is that all, like one level? It's not sloping, they're just.
That's right. Yeah, they just pull themselves through with the handlebars on the top.
With that option, we also do have a roller table version too. So where it would be the metal rollers.
And that's you'll see, that's the momentum corridor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Miracle Museum line. That should be in your books. The momentum corridor.
Is that book digital?
Yeah, I can send you, when I send the thing, I can send you.
This?
Yes, that's a momentum corridor right there.
Yeah, I think we want that digital on for our.
I'll send you a link to Miracle's got all of their digital catalogs. I'll
Okay.
send you a link to that as
Yeah.
well.
If it wouldn't be too much, we're gonna actually be evaluating all of the different proposals and what is it, August 26th?
Okay.
And if you could, send us some more hard copies,
Yeah.
maybe would be useful if possible.
Okay.
Because I don't think we all have complete sets of the info.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll send. Okay.
You can send it to Casey.
Yeah, I wasn't. We don't obviously. Sometimes with the spec sheets, we see like not as much interest as there's been this time, so I didn't print the full 10 copies. But Buddy Rocker, this is a teeter totter. Is this one accessible, Megan?
Yeah. So you can also sit on that middle platform there. We see that that's a very popular spot too. So if you wanted to transfer onto that, that would be an option as well. There's no harness or anything like that, but it would be an inclusive piece.
It does have the option to add backs to the seats to additional support.
I think there's only one or two more, Casey. Well, we showed you the accelerator swing. That's, I think, in all of the designs, but you can see here, rather than just in the renderings, multiple children can use it at once. And then I mentioned earlier, you can lay down on it and swing as well. Go on.
Look at the irresponsible adults in that photo. You're thinking that they're pushing them away.
Pushing away a lot.
Holy cow.
This is the Viper large swing. This is actually another piece when we talked about swinging earlier. I was excited to show you based on your question, Casey. It does take up a pretty good bit of space, which is, I think, probably part of the reason we didn't have it in these designs, but this is a very, very awesome way for multiple children to swing together. And then finally, glide along, like a track ride. You can see here, this is one of those inclusive swing seats again, but again, takes up quite a lot of space. So to have something like that in there, you are
At the top of the hill. Send them down.
And we do have one close at a church in Columbia City, outside of the country, if we ever want to visit the closest one. So,
You got phase 2 option.
yeah.
It has to have that much space between them.
It does take up a lot of space, right? So
Yeah, it does.
some of this has to do, and again, when you go to replace that, we do have in these designs that we just showed you a really, really good variety and set of different play options. When you go to do that phase 2, maybe you look into getting a little bit more of that mini city sort of concept, and you say, hey, we really want to use this space for some of the younger kids. Maybe you put in something like the glide along, and then you have another area that is for kind of tots, and you really focus on the 2 to 5, right? Like, there are tons of different ways, especially knowing that you intend in the future to kind of redo that existing spot.
It's funny, not funny you say that, but ironic you say that, because after this week, when school gets in, we have our homeschool families with young kids, and even in the summer, you see at that playground a lot of moms with young kids. Yes, so I guess I just wanted to point that out. I didn't even think about that till you mentioned that.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways that we can approach it, because right now it is pretty friendly for younger kids. When I was there earlier, I met a grandmother there who was there with her 4-year-olds, and so they were really all over the place with what's there right now. So it is pretty friendly for that demographic now. So I would encourage you, whether you work with us or not, when you get to that phase when you redo that section, just having seen that out there, it is already friendly for that demographic. Make sure you keep that element there, because I think that would be a great kind of conceptual way to do it, right? Maybe you could put something like this in as it extends over there, but then add some element for that 2 to 5 and have a nice little area there for them. So,
Jamie, before you leave, do you want anything hard book or do you want digital?
I can take these, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
Okay,
you take
you
whatever
take
you
them. Yep, I just want to kind of make sure that, because I can give my stuff and then get more if I need to, but digital's fine for me, so.
and I'll leave all this stuff, different catalogs, and then I have, I think, 4 or 5 more of the pitch books there. And then if you're going to do an evaluation and you need some more printed copies, just let me know how many. I can get them shipped up here.
Before Jamie, you gotta get going. Okay, I want her to listen to this.
Are you stalling?
I am. Maybe just a little bit.
There's
Nothing going on tonight.
Do you guys use Sourcewell discounts?
We have
Anything that,
We have already, so I think you informed me that you intended to work with Sourcewell on this project?
Well, whatever we can get advantages, yes.
Yes, this was done with Sourcewell in mind.
Yeah, and so we are members of Sourcewell, but we typically exceed that discount anyway. So, we give you the best discount we can.
What you're seeing right now is discounted the pricing. This is definitely an opportunity. We don't want you to have a miracle playground and then go with someone else, right? It's an opportunity we definitely want to win. What you have right now is already discounted above the Sourcewell limit.
So as far as, timing, our goal, and we're very open, after this meeting, we're gonna evaluate, we're gonna get right into that. And then our goal is first year, start fundraising, get blessings from council boards. We do have a good portion of the money in hand, cash in hand. We start fundraising January I'm hoping from January to July.
Mhm.
And then, July, August might be some things needed done, but definitely figure out ordering and hopefully by fall of next year, and then build spring, because obviously we're getting pretty late to even build for next year. We haven't started fundraising. So, yeah, that's kind of our goal.
Yeah.
Just so we're open with you
Yeah.
guys, and
Absolutely, and that aligns with what you told me on the phone. So
Okay.
I'd say, yeah,
good deal.
I'd say our expectations were.
I forget a lot, so.
Yeah, definitely going into summer of next year was what I have in my notes for sure. So, any other questions for me or for the two folks I have on the phone?
No, they're,
It's been really great to meet you, and I really appreciate your time.
yeah, lot of good. Yeah. So, I mean, you face this all the time. You have multiple vendors.
Mhm.
You're trying to win it out. What sets you guys apart?
Well, for the first part that I'll tell you, you've got a pretty old playground out there. It's still standing and people are still using it. So you're going to get a lot of life out of this one, right? It's already a miracle playground, that structure out there, that made in the USA. You can trust its reliability, durability. And, it's awesome to see that rather than just going to replace that playground as your first step, you're going to
Yeah.
expand and then go to it as a second phase. And when that time comes to you in the future,
Yeah.
I think that having Miracle equipment will afford you that opportunity again, to be able to take a phased approach, because you can count on it to last for a long time. So I think that is probably one of the first things that I'd share with you. The second is that with this being an inclusive project, I talked earlier about how much passion that not only we have, but my wife worked on these products for 10 years. She worked with people at corporate. How passionate they are about making these spaces perfect for the sorts of kids that it's intended to serve. The fact that they really engage third-party experts, they'll redesign anything if it doesn't pass that test, right? They have a partnership with an organization called Best Buddies that has some insanely high standards to meet the test of the Best Buddies playground. Now, those are, playgrounds that could be close to $1 million to pass the Best Buddies standards, right? But that sort of level of inclusivity is something that I think is very much unmatched by some of our competitors, in the sense that it's truly something they're passionate about. Nobody at Miracle is going to slap a ramp on something and try to tell you that it's inclusive, right?
Okay.
All of those 5 elements are something that are taken to heart on every single one of our inclusive designs. So an inclusive project, I would tell you that's probably the second thing that I think would set us apart.
The hardest question I'm gonna face is maintenance.
Yeah.
I understand Miracles, I get that. You guys do not make the surface. Sell us on the best surface and how you're gonna, what you work with. That is my bit as a director, superintendent. That's gonna be my job, is to figure out, what do we need? Turf or poured in place?
So we've quoted Ported Place on this project. If you would like, I can come back with a turf option as well. I would probably punt to Megan and Jeff, who have seen a lot more of these projects. From a maintenance perspective, is there any trade-offs between turf and Ported Place that we tend to see, or they tend to be relatively similar in terms of reliability and durability?
Jeff, you can go ahead and start.
I was going to say, really in Indiana area, with that region, with that weather, it's going to be 50-50 as far as durability between the two.
That's what I want to hear.
You get to certain areas that are salty, by the ocean, somewhere like that. You can see, and with a lot of sand, you can see where the turf will hold up better, because it holds up to abrasion a lot more than the rubber does. So the pour in place will start showing wear signs a lot better, or a lot worse, I guess you could say. Whereas you get up into really, really hot areas, the turf gets too hot. and you have to run with the pour in place. Likewise, up in Canada, where it gets really, really, really cold, they go with the rubber, even though they have a shorter window to install the rubber. The rubber just holds up better. The turf tends to pull away seeds a lot more.
That's what I want to hear right there.
So with Indiana, right where you guys are, it's kind of an in between. You have a little bit of everything on the weather. So the product now, if this is 20 years ago or 15 years ago, I'd be saying go with the pour in place all the way. But, you know, the product quality has changed in both products in that time frame so much that it's about an equal product. Now, with that being said, there's steps we can do to help along with maintenance. You know, I'm looking at option 3, for instance. I just have it open on one of my screens here. Underneath the swings and high wear areas, we can put in bubbles or different shapes.
Yeah.
And so what that does, it gives you an automatic seam. So as the users wear down that area, you're now patching a 50 square foot area with the seam that's already there. So you're not having to cut in and try to match an existing color or anything like that. Or you go in all with one color, and then when the time does come for replacing and patching the worn out areas, you put a flower underneath the swing, you know, or a nice bubble.
That's exactly what I've read too. What you just mentioned.
Yep, and it freshens and what happens, it's kind of a twofold thing, because if you put in all one color right now, everybody loves it. It's a brand new soft surface. Then 10, 12 years down the road, you come back and you want to do some patchwork and you put in shapes. Now they have a whole new playground again. You just freshened it up, and all you did was maintenance. But the community sees a fresh new playground. So it's you know, there's just nifty little things like that you can do throughout the life of the equipment.
So Jeff, as far as subcontractors, you probably have like different regions. Are they hired by you guys? You sub them out, just like working with the parks?
So,
That would be
experience.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so that would be with us. We have a subcontractor for installs who probably does over 90% of our work, based in Tipton. So his name's Scott. He has a 3-person crew. Quality of his work is absolutely excellent. So he's probably who we would put on a job like this. We also have some others. So let's say in your particular case, we have another installer we work with from time to time, sometimes on larger projects in Cleveland, who uses a little bit of a larger crew. With your timeline and trying to get everything in potentially in the fall before it gets a little bit rough for the port in place, we could do something like that.
Well, it wouldn't be next year.
Okay.
You're just saying order by the fall.
Oh yeah, order by the fall. Yeah, we wouldn't. I don't think there's no way we could fundraise from January to July, have it bought, delivered, installed by fall. Now, if that could change, I you know, weather-wise.
What is your turnaround time typically from
Yeah.
point of order to?
So lead times right now are 10 to 12 weeks for something like this. So if you ordered something in July, install in 26 wouldn't be completely out of the question.
Okay, as long as you know what we're facing. I don't want to mislead you.
Yeah, we did. No, for sure. And it's not no problem at all, but doing an October install, Megan's still probably okay with port in place?
Yeah, so especially one of our vendors does have a cold weather binder that they can use that allows them to install in lower temperatures as well. So that's something that we can consider. I mean, we used that in Michigan City, for example, on a project that was installing around Halloween last year, I believe. So, you know, we can go pretty late in the year. Just it all just depends on how that particular year's weather is looking.
Yeah.
That's not me trying to rush you or anything like that, but when you said July, my head wasn't on 26 is out because we can still make it work.
And listen, I don't. This is something we're gonna end up rushing if we've done our due diligence.
Yeah, no, not at all.
If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So.
Is there a heat this year we've seen an abnormal number of hot days.
There's been a lot of
Is there a
people-
max, like, can't work above a certain heat or it doesn't set or?
From a port in place perspective, I'm not familiar with any sort of heat requirement on the port in place. It doesn't
Not
stop.
that you'll get in Indiana. It's a heat and humidity combination. So the binders are sensitive to moisture. Now, when I was down in Mississippi, I spent 9 years down there. And we would have some issues in the middle of summer where the curing was happening too fast. And so we'd have to rent huge fans and cool the site down that way to keep it a breeze going to kill the humidity. But you'll never get bayou humidity up there in Indiana.
Any other questions?
Yeah, another impressive. Yeah.
Oh, and what I was going to say is when you were asking about the installers and contractors and stuff. So prior to the department I'm running now, I actually managed that territory up there, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. And so I've worked with Scott, their installer, years before Megan and Clay did as well. So he's absolutely one of the best around. And as well as, I believe the other one's Eric, right?
No, it's Damon Pollock. I don't know if you ever.
Okay, I know the name. But yeah, so it's top quality all the way around. So he's got a lot.
Scott takes his work very personally. You're not going to find many people in any line of work who are as committed to the quality of their workmanship as he
And the
is.
equipment of course, goes in, then the port and play, the grates, port and play.
Is there this Alta Glide Flex? Is there any of these around?
Good question. Good question.
I'll look into that for you because, like I said, there may be something that we would have installed a little bit closer to here, maybe prior to 2021 when I'm a little bit more familiar with the projects.
And I'm gonna be at State Fair Friday and Saturday. If you got somewhere close down there, I've got time.
Okay.
To maybe visit something.
Right.
Absolutely. So if there's something within half hour, 45 minutes.
For sure.
And then you mentioned Michigan City. If you've got anything in Northwest Indiana, I'd be interested in that because I have family back there that I'm still traveling to.
Lake County.
Lake County, yeah.
Yeah. So we just did a big project for Crown Point over there, Lemon Lake Park.
Oh, okay.
So we have a new playground, brand new as of 23, 24?
24.
24.
Do you have a list of what equipment is at each of these local parks?
We can get that to you for sure. Yeah.
I think that'd be nice if there's a specific piece we want to see.
Yeah, this one would be a little bit of a hike for you, but maybe we can get you some better photos and some other materials from that project. But that is probably one of the best inclusive projects that you find, around. So
You said you have videos, right?
yeah, from building bridges. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, it's wonderful to meet you all.
Thank
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the drive up here. Thanks to everybody on taking your time.
Yeah, honestly, that park is absolutely beautiful. So we'd be thrilled to have some more Miracle equipment in there.
That's awesome.
Where's Lawrenceburg? Is that the Indianapolis area?
Close to Cincinnati.
Pardon me?
Close to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Oh, man.
It's probably 25 minutes outside of Cincinnati.
That's a very nice, pretty area down there. It's real hilly and
Yeah.
scenic.
Absolutely.
I'll take two. Well,
These are all yours. So
okay. So grab anything you guys want. I'll get John a copy of everything.
And then if there's a number or quantity.
You can leave them right there.
Okay.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Probably send us two more of them other books.
Oh, the specs?
Yeah, and then digital. I think we'll be good.
I can get you the digital copies of the spec and
Yeah.
the other one too.
That's awesome.
many city things are really cool like they do it.
I'm gonna stop the video, so if anybody.
Megan and Jeff, thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you
thank you. It was nice meeting you all.
Appreciate it. Good job.
Thank you.